So if you would like to volunteer, let me know. And also, speaking of connections, this is more of a statement than an announcement. We're trying out a new name for the Time for All Ages. It's going to be called the Connection Moment because we want to emphasize that we're connecting rather than the age part of the connection. We will have stories, but also maybe songs, dances, skits, poetry, all manners of things to connect. Thank you. Back to Anita.
If you are attending online, you can connect with each other in the chat. And don't forget that the link for virtual coffee hour can be found in your weekly e-news. There are several other important announcements this morning. In-gathering and water communion is Sunday, September 7th. We kick off the church year by each bringing water from our summer activities and mingling it in a common vessel. See your e-news for information on how to submit the source of your water for the shared reading. Transgender inclusion in congregations from the Transforming Hearts Collective will begin Tuesday, September 23rd. Please see the e-news for more information. Now please center yourself in preparation for worship. Welcome to this religious community where we affirm the worth and dignity of all who enter. We gather in community, understanding we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, identity, and theology. Our values invite us to a shared journey of truth and meaning making. Together we foster a spirit of gratitude and generosity so that all may feel welcome and all can thrive. We are glad you are with us this morning. Please enjoy our prelude, minuet, and classical style by C. Armstrong Gibbs, performed by Alan Hoffman.
Good morning. I am the Reverend Kim Mason. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I serve this congregation as lead minister. On this Labor Day, we reflect on how to release ourselves and others from the cult of productivity. I invite you into worship with these words by the Reverend Kristen Schmidt. In a world convinced that worth is determined by wealth, by power, by the ability to make a profit, we gather this morning in the name of a deeper truth, that all are worthy, all are precious, all deserve lives of dignity and joy, rest and fulfillment, simply because we were born. Spirit of life, on this Labor Day weekend, draw us away from the idol of productivity and to all systems that sacrifice the lives of many for the comfort of few. Let all who are tired, all who are heavy laden, all who feel burned out because the world treats people like things, may they find their spirits rekindled in your vision of a world where prosperity isn't determined by who has the most, but by the well-being of those who have the least. May all that makes us grateful, all that gives us courage, all that moves our hearts to take action for change be in us and with us. Let us worship together. Please rise as you are willing and able and join in our opening hymn, number 302, Children of the Human Race. Whoop, this is a new song for us. So Kimberly and Pam are going to lead it for us this morning as we sing together.
Going to play it through, and Pamela and I will sing it, and then we will all sing verse 1 and verse 2. So. Children of the human race, offspring of our mother, not alone in endless space, has our planet given birth. For across the cosmic skies, countless suns in glory blaze, and from unto planets rise, endless canticles of praise. Children of the human race, offspring of our mother, not alone in endless space, has our planet given birth. For across the cosmic skies, countless suns in glory blaze, and from unto planets rise, endless canticles of praise. Should some sign of others reach this far only prayer, differences of form and speech must not hide our common birth. When at length our minds are free, and the clouds of fate disperse, then at last we learn to be children of the universe.
This morning's chalice lighting comes from Paul Dalzell. On this Sunday before Labor Day, we light this flame to honor all work, Not only the work we do for pay with our hands, our backs, and our minds, that is important, yes, but also the work we do for love. The work we do to help others stay alive and belong instead of being outcasts. The work we do to ensure people are paid fairly, work reasonable hours, and have quality in their lives. The work we do caring for the young, the old, the infirm. The work we do to mentor, to educate, to advocate, and to enrich the community, the country, and the world. We honor all the labors that support our world and all the work we do to make this a better place.
Hi, I'm still Reverend Sabrina, and I serve as Minister of Congregational Life, and I have something for you, which in your order of service is entitled Frog and Toad Meet the Nap Ministry, because today we're talking about the grind, so the relentless push toward productivity, and how it's not really part of our values, right? So first of all, I want to say why I call this little thing Frog and Toad Meet the Nap Ministry. For those of us who are not familiar, the Nap Ministry is a real thing. It's an organization founded by Tricia Hershey that examines the liberating power of rest. We all know what liberation is: liberation from oppression, and the grind is a form of oppression, right? So then I noticed something in the blurb of the latest book that really applies to a story that I read about Frog and Toad in this Frog and Toad Treasury, available in the kids' library downstairs. The blurb says, "We can just be. We are beautiful, we are enough, and we will rest." So do we all know Frog and Toad? Frog and Toad. Yeah, two of the most anti-grind, pro-nap characters in children's literature. If you know of anybody other than Winnie the Pooh that is more pro-nap, let me know. Created by Arnold Lobel. So this is a story that is very Toad-centered. So this is Toad. And one day, Toad woke up and said, "Oh my, I have a lot to do today. I better write a list." This is a list, and this is a little pencil. And Toad is left-handed like me, I guess. And so he took a piece of paper and he wrote a list of things to do today. 1, wake up, eat breakfast, get dressed, go to Frog's house, take walk with Frog, eat lunch, take nap, play games with Frog, eat supper, go to sleep. So then he noticed that he was already awake, so he crossed it off. And so more likely, like with the same way, he ate breakfast, crossed it off, got dressed, crossed it off, went to Frog's house, hi, they're best friends, and crossed that out, and then he said to Frog, "Hey, let's take a walk."
Let's take a walk.
And they went, taking a walk, And then something horrible happened. I want you all to say whoosh, whoosh. The list flew off. And Frog, right away, started chasing it. Where is it? And then turns around, and Toad wasn't doing anything, and he said, well, Toad, what gives?
What? Why didn't you chase after it?
Because it wasn't on the list of things to do. But then Toad didn't remember anything. And so he sat down, and Frog sat just beside him. After a long time, Frog said, Toad, it's getting dark. We need to go to sleep. And Toad said, go to sleep. That was one of the things on the list. So he wrote it down on the sand and crossed it off. So then they could go home and go to sleep. So this is the story, and let me ask you something. Thank you. What did we see that speaks to being anti-grind, pro-nap? Anyone? Well, nap was on the list, right? Napping. Giving ourselves grace for what we cannot do, not trying to do everything all at once, not chasing the list. Not chasing the list. And boundaries. Not going to do it. Not on the list. So I guess the moral of the story is we can just be, we are beautiful, we are enough, and we will rest.
I need to take some lessons from Frog and Toad. Each week, we bring our joys and celebrations, sorrows and concerns with us to this community. When we share our burdens, both happy and sad, we build community. Now is the time in our service when we connect with one another by sharing our sorrows and concerns. Together, our nation grieves yet another school shooting. With 2 dead and 17 injured, this time in Minneapolis, Minnesota. As we read the names of the dead aloud, Nita will light 3 candles, 1 for each of the children and 1 for the shooter. Please join me. Fletcher Merkel, age 8. Harper Moisky, age 10. May our sadness and prayers, frustration and despair lead to action and change. May their memories be a blessing. In our congregation this week, we mourn the death of Karen Segrist after a long battle with cancer. We send our sympathy to her sons, Max and Jess Segrist, and their wives, and to Karen's brother and sister. This morning's flowers are a gift in her memory. And this morning, we hold the concern of a teacher who recently had surgery and was hospitalized, later with a fever. We hold these concerns with tenderness and compassion. May they be lighter because they are shared. As a community, we also share our joys and celebrations with one another. Congratulations to Carl and Sherry Bassie, who recently celebrated their 40th wedding anniversary. And in our community, we share the joy of gluten-free pancakes with honey. That sounds delicious. We lift up these joys with gladness and celebration. May they be magnified because they are shared. With many joys and concerns remaining unspoken in our hearts and minds, please join me in a spirit of prayer and mindful attention with words adapted from the Reverend Elizabeth Barish Brown. Spirit of life and love, holy within and among us, we gather today on a day of rest. Tomorrow is Labor Day, reserved for rest as well, to honor those who work. Work and rest, rest and work. The cycles of our lives go round and back and forth, sleeping and dreaming to waking and striving. Spirit of life, great mystery, here we honor work. We know that community strives and thrives by our shared efforts. And here we honor rest. We know that the sacred comes to us in moments when ease and spacious breath give pause to honor the wonder of this world. Spirit of love, heart of the universe, let us come together in solidarity to honor all whose work has built us toward today, to honor all whose dreams and play and creativity have dreamed a better future, to honor the workers who fought for safety regulations, for the weekend, for the 8-hour day, for the rights that made the middle class and the living wage, to honor the workers whose contributions of unpaid labor, of child rearing, cooking, budgeting, domestic tasks of many types made their partner's work outside the home sustainable. We live because of our laboring ancestors. We thrive because of their dreams while at rest. Today, let us take this time to be thankful for both the work and the rest. Let us honor all who have come and all who will join in the dreams and the work not yet done. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
Our first reading today is Sabbath, 1979, number 4, by philosopher-poet Wendell Berry. The bell calls in the town where forebears cleared the shaded land and brought high daylight down to shine on field and trodden road. I hear, but understand contrarily and walk into the woods. I leave labor and load, take up a different story. I keep an inventory of wonders and of uncommercial goods. I climb up through the field that my long labor has kept clear. Projects, plans unfulfilled, waylay and snatch at me like briars. For there is no rest here where ceaseless effort seems to be required, yet fails, and spirit tires with flesh, because failure and weariness are sure in all that mortal wishing has inspired. I go in pilgrimage across an old fenced boundary to wildness without age, where, in their long dominion, the trees have been left free. They call the soil here Eden, slants and steeps hard to stand straight upon even without a burden. No more a perfect garden. There's an immortal memory that it keeps. I leave work's daily rule and come here to this restful place where music stirs the pool and from high stations of the air fall notes of wordless grace, strewn remnants of the primal Sabbath's hymn. And I remember here a tale of evil twined with good, serpent and vine, and innocence of evil's stratagem. I let that go a while, for it is hopeless to correct by generations' toil, and I let go my hopes and plans that no toil can perfect. There is no vision here but what is seen, white bloom, nothing explains. But a mute blessedness, exceeding all distress, the fresh light stained 100 shades of green. Uproar of wheel and fire that has contained us like a cell opens and lets us hear a stillness longer than all time, where leaf and song fulfill the passing light, pass with the light, return, renewed, as in rhyme. This is no human vision subject to our revision. God's eye holds every leaf as light is worn. Ruin is in place here, the dead leaves rotting on the ground, the live leaves in the air, are gathered in a single dance that turns them round and round. The fox cub trots his almost pathless path, as silent as his absence. These passings resurrect a joy without defect, the life that steps and sings in ways of death.
The First Unitarian Church of St. Louis strives to be a welcoming congregation, inspiring lives of loving kindness and integrity by nurturing spirituality, building community, and advancing justice. Your contributions support the mission and ministry of this congregation in the St. Louis region and beyond. This morning's offering will now be received. For the gifts of community, thank you. For the gift of gathering in grief and memory to celebrate a life of love on a holiday weekend. For all who came to remember yesterday and will remember in the days ahead. For the gifts of your presence and your gifts this morning, thank you.
Today's second reading is We Are Worthy by former UUA co-moderator Elandria Williams. We are worthy, not because of what we produce, but because of who we are. We are divine bodies of light and darkness. You are not worthy because of what you offer, not because of what is in your mind, not for the support you give others, not for what you give at all. You are worthy and are whole just because in this great turning, in this great pandemic, in this radical readjustment and alignment, we are not disposable. We are needed. We are the very people that have withstood everything that has been thrown at us as a people. And as Maya Angelou would say, still I rise. We arise from the pain. We arise from grief. We arise from the limits of people place on us and the limits we place on ourselves. We rise to be the children and the ancestors. We rise to be our true selves. Our true selves in relationship to our families and communities, recognizing our liberating and whole selves, honoring them and others as we strive for abundant communities, abundant lives, abundant relationships, and abundant values and cultural manifestations. We are worthiness personified. I, you, and we are worthy and deserve a life where we are not always fighting for our existence. Imagine what we could recreate if we were not always in the struggle. Imagine what we could envision if we could just be let to just go there. So tired of always having to resist, to fight, demanding, pushing. To everyone that has the courage, the power, the ability to co-create what we need and want while rooting in what we can't lose and who we are. You are the visionary. You are the hope. You are our ancestors' dreams. No, you might not ever end up on some list somewhere, but you are on a list in someone's heart and mind. And if it's in how you move in the world so people can see by example, you are the embodiment of what we need. Thanks to all that are the embodiment not of productivity, but the embodiment of radical love, care, and sanctuary. It's time. Embodiment time. Embodiment. Living one's values out loud. Let me every day live my values out loud. Let us every day live our values out loud. Embodying our values, not the productivity quotient, beyond productivity, past productivity. True embodiment, life.
There was a meme that went around the internet a couple years ago. You may have seen it. It was the "What I Do" meme. In the "What I Do" meme, folks would name their occupation and then fill in a series of pictures that corresponded to what society thinks I do, what my parents think I do, what my friends think I do, what my boss thinks I do, what I think I do, and what I actually do. You can do this exercise with any profession, including ministers. What society thinks I do? Preach it, people! Well, maybe in another setting that wouldn't be so appropriate. What my parents think I do? Weddings and funerals. Okay, so far we're 2 for 2. What my friends think I do? Play golf. No. But, if there were roller skates, they'd be... What my congregation thinks I do? Read a whole lot of books. Also not wrong. What I think I do? Help people in need. What I really do? Clean up after events. So that wasn't so far off the mark. Was there anything missing from that list? Sure, there was a lot missing from that list. One of the big things missing from that list was this. It was missing from that list because while I should be doing this, meditating, praying, reflecting, contemplating in nature, while I should be doing a lot of this, I'm doing all the other things and the ones we didn't name. Our society is bound up in the busyness of doing all the things. We are all working so hard all the time. And sometimes we're so busy doing all the things that we aren't doing the work that we actually need to be doing. University of Arkansas basketball coach John Calipari says, "You gotta learn to love the grind because life is the grind." I'm here today to say, no, you don't. You don't have to love the grind. And more than that, the grind is bad for you. Theologian, activist, and creator of the NAP ministry, Tricia Hersey, writes in her book, Rest is Resistance, that, quote, along with stealing your imagination and time, grind culture has stolen the ability for pleasure, hobbies, leisure, and experimentation. We are caught up in a never-ending cycle of going and doing. Grind culture isn't new. The glorification of the hustle isn't new either. Both are just the newest iteration of the cult of productivity. The cult of productivity says that your value as a human is rooted in how much you can produce. But we are human beings, not human doings. Our worth is not dependent on how much profit we create for someone else. The cult of productivity is driven by doing. And not only does it rob us of the joys in life, it quite literally robs us of time. We're hurrying from one thing to the next, anxious and tied to a never-ending to-do list, feeling guilty when we rest or say no. This even impacts folks who are retired, as the stress and strain of grind culture leaves lasting marks on our health. Terrence Lester, founder of Love Beyond Walls, an Atlanta-based program for unhoused people, writes, quote, "The gatekeepers of grind culture will teach you to exhaust yourself until nothing is left. Overworking isn't attractive, it's unhealthy. Life is more about the moments you create, not the metrics people place on you." The first challenge, of course, is that the idea of productivity isn't just rooted in capitalism, but is inextricably tied to faith. German sociologist Max Weber, author of The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism, wrote in 1905 that, quote, Calvinist believers were psychologically isolated. Their distance from God could only be precariously bridged, and their inner tensions only partially relieved by unstinting, purposeful labor. The summum bonum, highest ultimate good, of this Puritan ethic is the earning of more and more money combined with the strict avoidance of all enjoyment. Weber is saying that the Puritans, who were Calvinists, believed that the only way to earn God's approval was through hard work and the accumulation of money. Thus, for the folks that established our nation, worth became tied to work and money equated with goodness. This is also the beginning of the prosperity gospel. In such a society, rest is not just lazy, it is sinful, and poverty is proof of unworthiness. And this is particularly true for Black and brown people. The history of slavery in this nation means that people of color who were brought here as laborers, their value was correlated directly to how much they produced and how much wealth they created. Cultural stereotypes exist to this day, portraying people of color as lazy and unworthy, despite the reality that the wealth of this nation was built on the unpaid or underpaid labor of generations of Black and brown people. And the Christianity of the time supported that, to the extent that Bibles that were handed out to folks arriving on these shores excluded the book of Exodus, in which the slaves were freed. In a nation based on the cult of productivity, rest is a form of resistance. Both Unitarianism and Universalism grew out of a response to Calvinism. Unitarian Universalist theology is rooted in an understanding that each person has worth and dignity simply because they exist. That for our forefathers, those theists, that God loved you as you were, that you did not have to earn God's love. And our humanist forebears that continued that tradition understood that we have worth because we are human beings. We are worthy. We are worthy. In the words of Elandria Williams, we are more than we produce. I know it's tough to internalize. There's a running joke that the minister preaches the sermon they need to hear. I grew up in this culture. I am 100% guilty of buying into the cult of productivity. According to psychologist Renee Tertiary, to leave a cult, you have to educate yourself, build a support network, seek help, create a plan, establish boundaries, focus on self-care, and find your purpose. It sounds a little tongue-in-cheek, a little facetious to equate the cult of productivity with a coercive cult, but isn't it one? It kind of is. In the Protestant ethic, Weber described a metaphorical iron cage where bureaucratic structures combine with our rationalizations about work to trap us in a life of monotony, turning us into cogs in a machine. He wrote this in 1905. This is not some radical idea that the uber left came up with. My former spouse worked for a government contractor, and each year, when he received a positive evaluation, his boss would offer him a raise. My spouse, year after year, said, "I don't need more money." First shocker. "I'd like more vacation time," he would say, and year after year, his employer refused to give him more vacation time and gave him a raise instead. This is the cult of productivity that says you aren't worthy unless you are busting your butt. It says you don't deserve to be part of society if you aren't working all the time. It says working 3 jobs to make ends meet is not just okay, but should be glorified as the hustle. The cult of productivity says it's acceptable to tie access to health care to work. And conversely, if you aren't working or working enough, it's okay if you don't have health care. And it says if you're at home raising children or working your own land as a farmer, then you don't get Social Security benefits. That is the truth. You can look up the tax code. We are not machines. We are human beings, worthy just for existing. To leave the cult of productivity, we have to be deprogrammed. We have to engage in the soul-deep work of knowing ourselves to be worthy. We begin by resting with Sabbath. This might feel a little like fake it till you make it. Start by surrendering that list. Don't chase the to-do list. Take a lesson from Frog and Toad. Then release any sense of urgency. It's hard, I know. And hardest of all is letting go of the guilt. Next, embrace being you. Understand that your true value lies in the combination of your talents, experiences, and personal qualities, says life coach Charlotte Ashley Roberts. Recognize that your worth is not defined by how many tasks you complete, but by the distinct perspective and potential you bring to the world. Let yourself be present in the moment, rather than always worrying about what next thing you have to accomplish. One of the ways I draw myself back to the present moment is by taking guidance from Wendell Berry and spending time in nature. My phone, and I walk. I pause to take in the view. I marvel at the fresh air around me and my body moving. This isn't an option for everyone, but each of us has some place, some activity that puts us into a flow state where we exist only in the now. And then when you've taken on some of these new ways of being, if you're feeling really brave, you can begin to define success differently. Yes, be proud of what you have done. And also be healthy. You are not a failure if you did not accomplish 10 things before breakfast. If you woke up, you can cross that off the list. Instead of measuring your days by how much you get done, says development engineer Evelyn Taylor, ask, did I take care of myself today? Did I connect with people I love? Did I do something that made me happy? Because in the end, being fulfilled matters more than being busy. Even folks who are retired need to free themselves from the cult of productivity, from expectations of themselves and expectations of those around them. We can refuse to perpetuate grind culture by refusing to impose it on ourselves or on others. If a little niggling voice in your head wants to push back on these ideas as self-help white noise, I'm guilty of this. I want to tell you a little bit more about Alandria Williams, author of the piece that Nita read earlier. Alandria, called E by many, was a former co-moderator of our denomination. E was a powerful force in our UU faith, working tirelessly as a volunteer. They traveled all over the country. In addition to E's work as a UU, E was a community organizer and paid staff at the Highlander Center, a community organizing collective in the mountains of East Tennessee, where famous civil rights organizers such as MLK Jr., Rosa Parks, and Pete Seeger all trained. E also lived with a disability, pushing beyond what E's body could manage on a regular basis. Alandria's friends begged E to slow down and take a break, to rest. E never stopped until it was too late. E died suddenly at the age of 41. The cult of productivity is hardwired so deeply into our brains that even a seasoned organizer trained in the methods of resistance was unable to rest. It's not easy. Even if we embark on this journey, we will relapse again and again back into the cult of productivity. And each time our task will be to re-engage with the theology at the root of our faith. You are worthy, and rest is your divine right. Just because it's not couched in traditional academic or ecclesiastical language does not mean rest is not faith work. Even the Hebrew and Christian Bibles mandate rest, the weekly Sabbath day. And nature requires rest as the earth goes through seasons and cycles of growth, fruition, harvest, and death. As Unitarian Universalists, we are a faith that pushes back on messages of dehumanization, separation, and retribution. We are part of and belong with the holy. And our work is to remember that each and every day. Rest is resistance. We are more than cogs in a machine called the economy, and our value is not based on what or how much we produce. On this Labor Day, may you find the rest you need and experience the profound joy of knowing you are worthy. In closing, I'm going to pull a card from the Nap Ministries Rest deck. I'm going to take it down to coffee hour later. This is a set of 50 cards, 50 practices to resist grind culture. So our random card for today is I am not a machine. I am a divine being. I can rest. Please join me in our closing hymn, number 318, We Would Be One, a song of worth and dignity. Please join as you are willing and able. Our closing words come from poet and sage Wendell Berry. It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace. Please stay for the postlude, and then at its conclusion, as your final act of worship, please turn and greet your neighbor.